Lumser, I'm bored. What plaything do you have for me today?
Something out of the SK system now. It's called. It's from the weird planet Earth yet again.
Oh, Jesus, them fucking Earthlings, man. Is it from
At least it's.
Florida? Please tell me it's Florida, because I love Florida. What's going on with Florida? Nothing this week?
I wish. It's
Soon,
something
soon.
coming out of the other land of oddity, known as California.
Oh, see, you got a whole other like land of oddity, like in between, because you got Louisiana, which is just weird because they eat mud bugs, and then you got Texas. There's a lot of people who, deny people like me, but they're awful up in my DMs for whatever reason. That's all I got to say about that. But anyways, tell me about California.
Well, as you know, summer conventions, what they call summer convention season, has begun.
Oh
And
no. Take it off,
as
take it
everything.
off, take it
Take it.
off.
Woo!
Woo!
Well, in about 2 to 3 weeks, a little convention known as San Diego Comic Con will be starting. I think it starts like July 17th and 18th, in around there. Um, but there's an oddity happening at San Diego this year, and it comes from the source. Yes, all right. We are quoting a source.
Oh wow,
Variety.
we've done research.
Yes. The following, according to Variety, the following companies are not going to be there: Marvel, Netflix, Sony, HBO, Universal, are all planning to skip San Diego.
SDCC?
Yes, and it's come to my attention that a lot of the panels, the schedules for the panels that should be released by now, are blank.
All right, I'm gonna have to say it again. Lordy, I have the vapors.
And the the panels being blank or nothing is scheduled, the major panels not being scanned, like there's no Marvel panel, that what would be considered probably the Hall H panels are all blank. Nothing scheduled for any. They're, from what I've seen, are all blank. I don't know how
See,
true
this
that
alone
is.
has me flabbergasted. Because, like, isn't SDCC like the biggest one?
Yeah, three. I want to say the three biggest are, or I'll say the used to be three biggest, but the two biggest are San Diego and New York. There is, I don't know if it's still going on. There's one in Toronto, which is huge upon huge because they're an anime con, they're a horror con, they're a comic con, they're a pop culture. They're like 15 cons all rolled into one. But the two biggest, I want to say, here in the States are San Diego and New York. And as you know, for the longest time, folks at home who are might be considered normies by the geek community.
We don't use the
Um,
term normal around here simply because all that is a setting on the dryer, and that is just based on societal views. Fuck normal. Anyways,
but uh, San Diego has been known to be a bunch of assholes to begin with, because you have the whole aspect of,
but hasn't like
including,
D23 like overtaken a lot of their business anyway?
um, I don't know,
Because
they
like
might,
D23
but
has everything. You got Star Wars, you got Alien news coming out of D23. Fucking Alien.
the thing is, San Diego is like, you could be a library out of bumfuck Iowa that names yourself, has an aspect of Comic Con. Oh, how dare you add Comic Con to your name? We own that, even though they themselves, San Diego, is a quote unquote nonprofit
Is it finally
organization.
biting them in the ass?
Not that, but I think a lot of these according to
Or here's my personal theory. I know this is all about your theory, and I hate to interrupt, but like I would love to see it normalized back to the way it was. Like back now, granted, you didn't get to experience it. Dear God, I wish I had a time machine. So I'm like, Lumser, come check this out. Here's freaking Romero signing bootleg copies of one of his movies that he made and just having a good time doing it and shaking people's hands. And it didn't cost us anything more than $3 to get in.
Yeah, I'm just glancing at the article, and it seems like the main reason why they're not showing up is uh, the strikes that are going on and the potential strike that will be happening, meaning the writer strike going on still, and SAG probably going into a strike.
SAG's going to go. If the writers are into it, SAG's going to.
So, and with everything, that was the other article I kind of had pulled up to kind of depend. I didn't realize what was happening or dropping today until I saw your post earlier today. In regards to Stranger Things being pushed back, and what they were saying is that the folks behind it, because a lot of folks were saying the reason why Stranger Things was pushed back was because of the writer's strike and the looming Screen Actors Guild strike. It turns out that's part of it, and they're eating themselves. The shows itself is eating itself alive, because what's happening is, because it's Stranger Things, or at least the final season, is being pushed back to 2025. They haven't filmed anything yet. They haven't written anything yet. And in that article, it says that they don't start writing until maybe about a month before they start filming. And they won't start filming until early 2025. And at least with this article, some people are saying the other reason why they don't want to show up is that they don't want to answer any questions in regards to not just the writer's strike, not anything like that. There's that whole, like, Disney having all this, like, hey, we don't want to answer questions in regards to why we lost 4 million subscribers. We don't want to do this. There's a lot of folks that have these questions, and with possible superhero fatigue going on right now and all that, they don't want to answer these questions and show up.
It, and I hate to interject here, but I hate the term superhero fatigue. It's not fatigue. We're getting, oh God, I'm going to sound like one of those guys out of talking about locales again. One of those guys out of like California that's called like the something freaks. And this is all just cookie cutter, man, because that's what it is. Everything's cookie cutter. And to me, it's like, tell serious, enjoyable stories that happen to have a comic book wrapped around them. It's like, I think The Crow honestly could work in a modern setting if we honestly adapted the original comic book. I get that we couldn't do it with the original one from the 90s because, Brandon Lee died. But a serious, straightforward adaptation, yes, Crow Stairway to Heaven was more honest, but done right in a 2-hour period instead of stretch over a TV show, it would fucking work. And that's all I gotta say. Anyways, go on.
And one of the other folks that I
or argue with
tend to that made a passing remark in regards to this was saying that a lot of the non-geeks, like maybe you and I, are not really going to San Diego, or at least the geeks are going to San Diego and all that, big fans, but a lot of the folks that are not really into, they would just see, oh, I'm just going to see Spider-Man because my kid wants to go see Spider-Man, but they're not really interested in it. They're not really picking up the comic books, they're not picking up the additional stuff, or they're not heavily invested in the culture like the rest of us.
Oh my God, you know what I learned today?
And therefore,
and it totally blew my mind since you touched on Spider-Man. And we'll get to Spider-Man a little bit later on. But Hobie actually in the regular Marvel canon was the original Prowler prior to Miles' uncle. But in that one weird alternate universe, Hobie is the same guy who winds up getting bit by the radioactive spider instead of Spider-Man and becomes Spider-Punk. And learning that today just blew my mind. Anyways, go on.
And they're not really the ones going to it. And what I think what he was saying was that because the companies such as Disney or Marvel or Sony are realizing this, they're pulling themselves out, and thus it's. I won't say this. This is coming from my opinion. If it's true, and therefore give it another year or two or a few years, San Diego might be the next E3. Meaning it's going to go the way of the dodo, because E3 went the way of the dodo mainly because Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and companies, no matter who it is, even consoles or game devs, don't have that. It's not 20 years ago. Nowadays, everything's just done online. And well, 20 years ago, everything, yes, it was done online, but everything was still a big in-house production. Nowadays, it saved money, especially with what happened 3 years ago with the pandemic. You don't have everything is just done online. It's, hey, let's just do this now, or let's, hey, we have this bunch of news to release now. Let's do it, let's do it in 2 weeks. Let's have another game showcase, or let's announce all this now. And so with everything, but because San Diego is not just gaming, it's more media with TV shows and movies, and with the writer strike and everybody pushing everything back because they're fearful of the writer strike and the actor strike. Why put out new stuff? Because of the whole writer strike. We don't want to pay people with the new stuff. Let's just do reruns and that whole jazz. So it's just go local, folks. If you have something equivalent of a 4-state Comic-Con, or I'm going to plug my own home, I'll say my old hometown out of Florida, Ocala Comic-Con. Go to places like them because they need support. They need the love just as much as the bigger stuff, and you get the just as much, if not better, experience than you would going to the bigger places. The only difference is sometimes you'll get the bigger name people at the bigger events than you would at the smaller events. I'm not knocking Ken Hunt at all. I'm not knocking Dan Noakes. Just that you have the bigger opportunity to see a lot of the bigger names at the bigger stuff. I get that. I understand that. Even myself, if I have the money, I would go to a bigger event. Yeah, does that make me a hypocrite? Fuck yes. But I'm sure Sasha could understand that. But still,
we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit. I promise.
So, and I think if the next topic in regards to that, I probably have your back on that shit.
I know you do.
So
still. Anyway, yeah,
anywho,
it's just weird to see. But anyhow, let's pause, dramatic pause for our show opening. For those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, haha. What tip, please?
And for those of you who are listening, you just heard the Futurama reference in there. So
yes, indeed.
I might pull out. Who knows? I might add a few things from Red Dwarf. I gotta check my archives. I might do some additional sewing. But either way,
ladies, he sews.
Yeah, that's how I shocked my ex one year. I'm like, I can sew. Bullshit. Sewed a, it's a little seam. And she's like, I'm getting a case of the vapors.
Oh my.
I'm getting a case of the vapors.